The news just came across the wires of a terrorist attack killing 23 Egyptian Coptic Christians on their way to a monastery. Of course, we began this week with the tragic explosion of a terrorist-oriented bomb in Manchester, England, killing 22 young people and injuring countless others. And once again, we're faced with the question that if we serve a loving God, how does he allow such tragedy to happen in the world? Is it possible that he's a heartless God, that he just doesn't care? When people ask that question, they're not the first. We look back in the Bible, we see King David at times that he was at utter despair and enemies were pursuing him and about to overtake him, and he cried out to God and he said, "God, don't you really care about me? Aren't you answering my prayer?" Or we see the prophet Job and the patriarch Job in the Old Testament, a righteous man who served God, and yet he lost his crops, he lost his cattle, he ultimately lost his children. His wife said, "Why don't you just curse God and die?" And God finally heard his prayer and restored him, but why did he allow such tragedy to happen in the life of a righteous man? Then we turn to the New Testament, we see John the Baptist, one of the first forerunners of Jesus himself, and Jesus' cousin. So they had a close relationship, a close family relationship, and yet John was thrown into prison for his service to Jesus. And even John became discouraged, and he sent word to Jesus, "Are you the one? Are you the Messiah that I've come to preach?" And Jesus had said of John that there's never been one greater in the kingdom, and yet God chose not to answer John's prayer. He was not only in prison, but he was ultimately beheaded for the cause of Christ. So we ask these questions, rightfully so. If God is a good God, how does such tragedy happen in our lives and in the lives of others in the world today? Well, this Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, Hilton Baptist Church, we're going to explore, do we really have a distorted view that God's a heartless God, or do we want to believe in the biblical view of God, that he's a loving and caring God, even in the midst of great tragedy? What's the secret to really understanding God? Hope you can join us once again at Hilton Baptist Church this Sunday morning, 10 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you there.